With me, the SD started out at about 18 years old, and it actually continued to get worse until I was roughly 19 years old. So it made it very hard to find employment. It also made it tough on dating, because when I would walk up and ask a young lady for a date and I wasn't able to communicate well, it usually didn't work out.
I was diagnosed with SD in high school, but I remember symptoms 3 or 4 years earlier in 6th grade, when I think the school sent me to speech therapy because they thought I stuttered. And this would have been back in the early 1970s, when SD wasn't really well known or known much at all.
1989, I got back from vacation and had gotten a very bad sinus infection, and my voice just started getting tight and hoarse and very difficult to speak, and it didn't get better, and I started on probably a 6-month saga of trying to get a diagnosis of what I had. Went to a whole variety of specialists and alternative medicine folks, and ultimately a speech therapist that I had been referred to said that he thought I might have something called spasmodic dysphonia.
Like a lot of people, mine started with a really bad cold, and I went to my doctor and he sent me to specialists, and for the usual 2 years or so before someone finally figured out what I had.
When I started with the symptoms, it was just devastating. I was very emotional about it, and the tremor was more dominant because I was very nervous about what I had, and I had just retired. I'm a registered nurse, and I was just retiring from nursing.
I developed voice changes following an upper respiratory viral infection, probably the flu, and at first it was quite bad, but then it improved for a period, and then it got worse. And I was, I think the other thing I noticed is I was having to use a lot of puffers. So we ruled out any problem with the lungs. And because I was still having difficulties, I was sent to a specialist, and they diagnosed the muscle tension and possibly reflux, but medication for the reflux gave me more reflux in a week than I'd had in my lifetime, so that wasn't it.
I first went to my general practitioner, and I didn't have an ears, nose, throat doctor, so I asked for a referral, which he gave me. So at that point, I saw the ears, nose, throat doctor, and I was initially diagnosed with muscle tension dysphonia and silent gastric reflux, which are two very common misdiagnoses as far as spasmodic dysphonia goes. Since the diagnosis was muscle tension dysphonia, I was sent for speech therapy, and this is also something that I think is fairly common. It was the speech therapist, after working with me just a very short time, she was the one who said to me, I'm afraid I won't be able to help you too much. It seems to me that what you have is spasmodic dysphonia, which is not completely taken care of through speech therapy.
In 1978, I was 18 or 19 years old, and I was a sophomore in college majoring in communications, and all of a sudden my voice took on this croaking, cracking, choking quality, and it had a major impact on my life.
I've got dysphonia. It started in my left arm. I noticed it. I was a stage performer, a singer, an actor, and I was on stage one day, and my left arm started twitching. So that's how that started. 10 years later, it went to my voice, and my voice started to break up, and I noticed I had trouble singing certain songs, certain notes. And then I went to the internet and I diagnosed myself first. Then I went to the doctor and I told the doctor what I thought I had. And the doctor said, "You're right, that's what you've got."